Hi everyone, Ladislas Maurice from The Wandering Investor here. I'm in Budapest today. We're going to meet with my property manager and my buyer's agent. We're going to go visit an apartment and break down the exact net yield calculation for you. Often it's just too easy to find real estate agents that promise high yields, which often are not even true, but then don't tell you about all the costs, maintenance, property taxes, etc., etc. So this will be a real breakdown of what the yields are that you can get here in Budapest nowadays. So I'm very close to the apartment by the Danube. So you can see down there, that's those are the Helert thermal baths. So one of the top thermal baths in Europe. Up there you've got the Citadella, which gives you a beautiful view of all of Budapest. And down there in the background you can see Castle Hill. So we're in the 5th district. It's prime location. There's also the biggest food market in Budapest right around the corner here, just a 2-minute walk. So this is the building right here. Beautiful historical building. All right, let's go into the building now. Hello, Benedict. How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
Good, good. So Benedict is my property manager here. He's also a buyer's agent. Cool. Can we switch the lights on?
Yeah, of course.
Right here in front. All right. Cool. So this is the entrance of the building. You can see really gorgeous, beautiful building.
Budapest apartment complex, which was built around 100 years ago, and it's in a pretty good state. So the community probably takes care a lot about the building.
All right. Fantastic. Let's go into the courtyard. All right, cool. So there's parking. To be clear, parking is probably not included with this apartment, but the building is just beautiful historical Budapest building. And what is really good is that the elevator is completely new, because a lot of these older buildings have debt problems. So they're historical, they're pretty. But then you find out that they have debt, that maintenance hasn't been done, etc. So when you see a new elevator, it means that generally the building has enough funds. And this is a large building, which also helps. Smaller buildings typically have more debt issues than large buildings. All right, so we're now on the 3rd floor. Also, you can tell that the roof is in good condition. It's also a risk in Budapest. Be very careful if you buy a top floor apartment, because if there's an issue with the roof, though legally it's the problem of the whole building, practically, if the building doesn't have the funds, it becomes your problem. So the apartment is right here at the back. All right, Benedict, tell us about the apartment.
All right, so this is a very typical Budapest apartment with high ceilings, with big spaces. The kitchen is right here near the entrance, so it separates well from the other living areas, which is a plus in my book. This is the very spacious living room, which in this case it seems to be a bit empty, but it has a lot of potential and possibilities for future further renovations. The windows are looking onto a quiet street in the back, which is very low traffic. And also there is this typical inner city view with rooftops and other high buildings.
These windows look a little bit old. Do you think they need to get replaced anytime soon?
I don't think they need to be replaced. They might be just renovated, repainted. That's perfectly fine. Also, the blinds seem to be okay, in an okay condition. So I don't think you need to spend a lot on these windows.
Okay. What's the square meterage of the apartment?
It's 68 square meters. So it's a middle-sized apartment, although it only has 1 bedroom, but a very big living room. Yeah. Speaking of the bedroom, it's here. It has its own entrance to the master bathroom. which consists of bathtub and also toilet. So there is one separate toilet and one with the master bathroom.
Okay. So because you manage a lot of properties, Benedict, how many properties do you manage currently?
Currently, because of the pandemic, we only manage about 75 apartments. But 1 year ago, this number was nearer to 200.
Okay. All right. So as a property manager, what would you recommend people did in this apartment to maximize the rental return?
Well, if they want to maximize the rental return, you to be honest with you, if I were to buy it, I wouldn't touch it right now. I would just leave it in this condition, because if you want to raise the rental prices, you need to invest a lot of money in renovating it, because right now it's in an okay condition. It's nothing special. Maybe a couple of extra furnitures or a touch here or there might make it better, but in order to raise the rental prices significantly, you need to invest at least like 10-15 million forints, which is a lot.
So the apartment is going for how much right now?
It's being advertised for 55 million, but in current market situation, it probably is negotiable down until 52 or maybe even 50 million forints.
How much does a full bathroom renovation cost, which is not what you recommend right now, but if just out of interest in Budapest, roughly?
For about this size of bathroom, so this is a normal medium small size bathroom, it costs around 2 to 2.5 million forints, and that consists also the change of the pipes, the tiles, all the furniture.
Okay. And I see, and also that's important for people who want to buy in Budapest, the heating system. So this is individual gas heating. There are 3 different types of heating systems in Budapest. One is full electrical, which is very expensive. You generally want to avoid those. The other one is kind of the old Soviet style. So everyone pays a fixed charge based on the consumption of the whole building, which usually ends up to be very expensive because of the tragedy of the commons, if you're aware of that theory. So this is the best option. It's an individual gas heater, so you just pay gas based on your own consumption. And gas and electricity prices are low in Budapest. They're highly subsidized by the government for private individuals, so you really end up not paying much. And Benedict, if I may ask, I know that's not what you recommend, and I agree, especially in the current situation, doing upgrades, it's just not really worth it. People are a little tight on money, so trying to aim for luxury right now is a bit pointless. If you were to manage a renovation for this kitchen, for example, to redo the kitchen, make it a bit more modern, etc., replace the table, put a new fridge, how much would it cost approximately?
Well, depending on the quality of the materials, it could come to just a bit less from 1 million forint to up to 2.5 million forints. But I would say the minimum is like 900,000 forints or so.
Okay, so that's about less than 2,500 euros, and you get this whole thing redone. All right, Benedict. So now let's talk about the real numbers.
Yep.
So the apartment costs about 55. You say people can probably negotiate it down to 50 because of the situation. Then if you add stamp duty tax, which is approximately 4% in Hungary, plus legal fees when purchasing, you end up adding another 5% to the purchase price.
Correct.
That's about 52.5 million forints, which is approximately 143,000 euros at today's exchange rate. Now, what's the monthly rent that one could expect from this apartment with the few touch-ups in the bathroom and 1 or 2 little pieces of furniture?
Current situation, I would say no more than 600 euros is realistic as a long-term tenant price.
Okay, so 600 euros times 12, that would be 7,200 euros a year in gross rental income. What would be the vacancy rate? So as a property manager, what would typically be the vacancy rate?
I think it shouldn't be accounted for more than 5%.
Okay, 5%. So the market is quite dynamic in Budapest, and it's generally fairly easy to find tenants if your price is right.
If you have realistic expectations, also.
If you listen to the other real estate agents that sell you property and you listen to their rental estimates, you will have high vacancies.
Yeah.
In terms of maintenance, what do you recommend people set aside every month for future maintenance?
I usually tell that if they calculate with 10% of the whole rental price, then they are probably better off than, so they will also have money left after that. But 10% is a good number.
And when people choose to use your services to find tenants and to manage the property, what are your fees?
Well, we have two separate types of fees, one for finding tenants and one for managing the apartment and basically catering all the needs of the tenant. But let's say it comes to an average of 15%.
An average of 15%. Okay. And in terms of the property tax for this apartment?
It's a fixed amount that varies by district in Budapest, but in this district it costs 1,500 forints per square meter per year. So it comes to a total of
about 100,000 forints, which is
about that.
Less than 300 euros per year in terms of property tax. So compare that with Western Europe, it's quite attractive. That really makes a difference. And great. And then finally, income tax is 15%. What's interesting to note in Hungary is, according to, again, I don't do tax advice, this is not tax advice, but according to certain accountants, you can even deduct your trips to Hungary from your local taxes in Hungary. So whenever you come to Budapest to look at your property, let's put it that way, you can deduct your flight, even your hotel, etc., from your yearly taxes. So it gives a nice discount to your trips in Hungary. Great. So essentially, this means that the gross yield of 7,200 rent a year is about 5% compared to the purchase price. But once you deduct everything, you're actually at 2.8% net after all taxes, after setting some money aside for maintenance, and also vacancy rate, etc. So those are realistic numbers for Budapest. You can find better. There are better opportunities out there. This is just an example. And that's why you would want a buyer's agent on your side to go look specifically for these investments that can give you a slightly higher return. But when you hear agents promising you returns of 10%, 9%, those are just not happening in this current market. Fantastic. Benedict, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
I also thank you for your invitation.
Yeah, so this video was just a small part of what I did with regards to Budapest. You can click the link below to see the whole article on investing in real estate in Budapest. I mentioned the different neighborhoods, which ones you should look at, which ones you should avoid, the general situation in the market, the macroeconomic aspects in Hungary, and also legal pitfalls to avoid when investing in real estate in Hungary. It's not always that straightforward. Also, if you want to get in touch with Benedict, who can be your buyer's agent or manage your property, there's a link below. Just shoot him an email and he'll get back to you. Cheers.
Bye.